Today we are in Las Grutas de Tolantongo in Mexico. This is a place that I wanted to come to for years. You've probably seen beautiful pictures of these thermal hot springs on the side of the cliff on Instagram, and that is this place. It is not necessarily an easy or convenient place to get to from Mexico City, which is really the largest city nearby. It's probably about a 4.5 to 5 hour drive from Mexico City, so not very easy to do as a day trip. You can take a tour where someone else is driving you as a day trip, but you probably won't, maybe, I don't know, I haven't done it, so I can't say it's terrible, but I feel like you need at least a night here to be able to really experience and enjoy it. Our flight got in too late to drive directly from Mexico City to Las Grutas, so we stayed the night in Pachuca, which is about an hour and a half from Mexico City. We did drive. It's possible to get here in public transportation, but it takes quite a bit just because it takes, 4.5 hours to drive. Now in public transportation, you're looking at like 6 to 8 hours, and that's a lot of time. But it's definitely doable. People do it. You can find instructions online. And it's fairly simple. There's a couple transfers, but nothing too complicated because it is a very well-known spot in Mexico. People will know exactly where you're going. We are here on a weekend. Most people advise against coming on a weekend, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. Everyone has said it's going to be super crowded. So far it is crowded, but nothing not bearable. But it is only 11 in the morning, so we will let you know our final verdict on coming on the weekend. If just you should avoid it, or if it's not that bad. We are also here in February, which is, like a lower season than maybe like the summer would be. The summer is also rainy season, which you want to avoid because if it's raining, the water doesn't look as pretty and just it's not as fun. There are 3 sections to the parks. So you have the pools, the river, and the Gruta, or the grotto. And we are going to check out the Gruta first.
The Gruta is super beautiful. It's this cave where the warm water comes out of, and it has a waterfall inside. So it's like a hot spring in a cave with a waterfall. It's super cool. It's kind of hard to see because of the steam and everything. And there was just a million people there. So it's a small space, so there's not really like a lot of space for anyone to go anywhere else in there. It's really cool, very crowded. Same thing with the tunnel. There's a tunnel to the left that you can go up, and it's just this tunnel you can go as far back as you can and then turn around. It was so crowded and dark that we just kind of turned around early. When we were walking to the Gruta though, we noticed that on the other side of the river there's these really cool looking pools and just cool looking area, and it's actually a separate park called La Gloria. It's 100 pesos. We think it was 100% worth it. We were able to find a few pools to relax in. The river was really nice. There's a super cool spot that it's named after, the Gloria, and you just kind of climb and hike through this canyon where more water comes from. All this water just comes from different places, from underground and from above, and mixes and makes this super nice thermal, not too hot water. And so we climbed up this like canyon into this, there's this pool that's like 18 feet deep and waterfalls. It's super beautiful. Found a little pool with a waterfall falling into it to relax in. So highly recommend visiting La Gloria, especially on the weekend because it was way less crowded than the regular Grutas Park. And the Grutas Park is a lot bigger and La Gloria is smaller. We were able to explore a lot of it in just like a couple hours. So I think it's worth the extra $5, especially on a weekend since it was not nearly as crowded and we had a great time. Now we're starving and going to find some food to eat.
got dinner at a restaurant down by the river area, and it was okay. It was decent. It was like 10 bucks. We got something called tlacoyos, which are just like fried, fried masa with beans and cheese and meat inside. They were fine. It worked. Not highly recommended, but that's kind of the food around here right now. And we walked along the river because it looked really similar to what we saw in La Gloria. We didn't really feel like we needed to get in and swim. It was super crowded. That's where a lot of people camp. So you'll notice all the campsites set up because you can actually camp for free. You bring your own tent and you just set it up and you're good to go. You do have to pay your entrance fee. Other than that though, free. So a good option if you're on a tight budget and like camping. Now we're going to try and check out the pozas before they close at 6. We're hoping that they're a little less crowded than they were this morning and we can have some beautiful views of the sunset. We were able to come hang out in the Positas for a little bit last night, for about an hour. It says they close at 6, but we hadn't kicked us out by 6:45. When I got here early this morning at around 7, they let me in and it was fine. They say they don't open till 8, but when we talked to them, they said if it's light out, they can pretty much let you in. So I'm assuming that's the same with at night. As soon as it gets dark, they just make you leave. So I would recommend coming in the morning and or the night. It'll be a lot calmer, less day trip kind of tourist people that aren't staying overnight. And so it was beautiful this morning. We were able to, fly the drone, check out a few of the different pools. They're warmer at the top than the bottom. There's lots, it's like a maze trying to figure out how to get into some of them. There's lots of little staircases and paths and even some little hidden ones. So be sure to check everywhere if you can't find an open one. It's like down at the very bottom, there's some few hidden ones, and at the top as well. So it is beautiful. The positas here at Las Grutas are prettier than the positas at La Gloria, I think. They're just like the iconic, you see them on Instagram, they're on the side of the hill, you have this beautiful view. So I think it's worth it to stay on this side of the park in the Paraíso Escondido or Paraíso hotels so that you can have first run at the Positas in the morning, because it'll just be a much better experience. Actually right about now is about 8 o'clock and it's starting, more and more people are just starting to show up. So you'll probably have it to yourself if you come at 7 for about 30 minutes, and then some people start to trickle in, and I think by 8:30 or 9 it might be kind of crowded, but not as crazy as midday. So whatever you can do, just the earlier the better for sure. This has been really cool. I would highly recommend including La Gloria, especially if you're coming on a weekend. Just a really fun little section of this area that you can check out that is way less crowded, because Las Grutas is really just the Positas, the river, and the Gruta and the tunnel. So you could do it rather quickly, and on the weekends it can be really crowded and just maybe not as great of an experience if you could do it on a weekday. There are days when they're cleaning the pools and they're cleaning the river, so you'll want to be sure to not come on those days. We'll ask and find out for you, and I'll put it in here. I've heard it's Wednesdays for the pools. Not sure about the river because I don't think they clean it as often as they clean the pools. That is another thing. The pools at Las Grutas are way cleaner than the pools at La Gloria. They were kind of green and gross, so I don't think they clean them as often. If you're gonna come camping, La Gloria seemed like a great place to camp because they have pools. You can just camp next to a pool and then it's like your pool pretty much. I mean, you kind of claimed it. So I would camp there if I was gonna camp, because camping along the river, there are so many people. There's so much information that I could tell you about here. It's just such a cool place, and it's a little tricky, and there's lots of things you need to know. So we'll make another video with just everything you need to know about Las Grutas. So subscribe for that. It'll be coming in the coming weeks, and we will see you next time.